Welcome to the channel for the future of caregiving for seniors or older adults and embracing positivity and cultural sensitivity in now and in the future. Our segment today is on senior housing and options for housing for seniors out there. And we will touch on a few things that has to do with options outside the home. Last week, we did talk about caregiving inside the home and how seniors prefer to be at home. But this week, we are going to focus on, just touch briefly on the options outside the home in the community, basically for independent housing, assisted living, and continuum care, and something called Dementia Village.
All right. Absolutely. All righty. So let's start off with independent housing options in senior housing complexes. And this is a nice segment to move into, as it's very independent. You have the option of having your own unit or your own apartment, and you can go and come as you please. It's in a safe building where there's a manager, usually on site there. And if there's, any emergencies or needs or anything, that's what they're there for. Sometimes the manager may plan some events or do some activities, but again, you're not obligated to it all. So the only caveat is that, there's no medical care, on staff medical care. You certainly can have medical services coming in and out, but that being independent, you have to schedule and be responsible for people coming in and out of your independent unit.
And I think the interesting about the independent living is that, these are either city run or a lot of realtors are investing in these kind of buildings because, aging communities are coming up everywhere around us. And to be able to stay in a building and have services come into your unit or to your own private space without having an manager oversight is usually huge, because people still want to live independently. They want to control their own meals, their own caregiving services if someone just needs, or even someone to come in and just be with them. Families have the option of coming in to visit at their own will.
Yeah, and I like the ideal of there's always room if you want to have a little private something, or have people come and gather for a specific reason. They are really making these nice buildings that
Yes.
seniors do want to live in.
Yes, and sometimes if this is done by the city or county that runs these buildings, they're usually at a lower rate. They have a lower rate to come into and pay for the monthly rates for seniors to come in and live.
Yeah. All righty. Well, that leads us on to senior communities. And wow, is that ever a big thing going on? You see those senior communities popping up absolutely everywhere. They're building them in nice, plush places, acres of land, just real upscale. Golf course, pools, gyms. I mean, it's something to be desirable, where you want to move in at 55 and get in a community where, I was in, they had top leading chefs cooking the food there, and then they had a happy hour. I've seen them in cottages and homes and you name it. This is 20th century stuff, huh, Anna?
Yes, and I think the important thing to note here is when you retire, you want to be, unfortunately, a lot of your friends are not here with you. A lot of family members that you would have hoped to age with are not here next to you in your communities anymore, next to your homes. You make your own friends, growing as you go through the different phases of life, from families to children, and now in adulthood and older adults phases, they're either gone or they've moved away to be with their children. And so a lot of push now to have senior communities. They're popping up everywhere. And there's lots
Yes,
of
they are.
advertisement for you to live your home, to be with other seniors, because you want to make new friends. You want to be able to do things with people your age. And some people prefer to do that. And the senior communities are a good answer to that because it fosters community building. And for us, we know that this decreases isolation and, of course, depression in old age. So,
Yes.
what better
Mhm.
thing to do than to be with other people your age and go for walks around the, fountain, or the play golf, or in the
Yes.
gym, to work out, or even
Yeah.
have a meal together.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's certain
I love
events
that.
that they host. I went to one that had what's this, a one of those car shows. They brought in all these cars to show seniors, and it was the hot rods, and was a big hit.
Yeah.
Everyone came together for hot dogs and
Yeah.
to see this exhibits and event.
That is so cool. And two things that really stood out to me about it is that they are so lavish with so many activities and events and things that it fosters an opportunity to get to know others. Because it's when you get to be a senior, it's not so easy to, to get to, find friendships and, unite with people. But this is something that is number one on their list. I mean, as long as they have all of these things coming out, it's so beautiful for people to gather together and enjoy them together. So that's absolutely wonderful.
That usually comes at a price.
So,
And a lot of people don't have the funds to pay for that. So, what other
oh,
options do we have? We actually, sometimes it's like, let's move mom and dad into a little tiny home in the backyard or attached to the house,
yes.
where we can keep an eye on them. We already own the home. So, let's just have them on site, but in their own space.
What a great idea, though, right? I mean, with these tiny homes, they absolutely have everything that you would need. It's a home, right? And
Yes.
then to put it right on your own property, I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. They also have in the family foster care unit. I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about that, where it's available in various states, and this is where you can have adults come in and live with you and be able to provide a nice residential home setting for them. And this again is licensed. And what a wonderful way to keep, whether they're widows or what have you, in the city, in the community, right there with you. So this family adult foster care is another viable option to care for seniors.
Yes, and that's offered in at least 22 states across the nation. So
22.
check in with your local foster adult program. A lot of families or a lot of individuals who may be eligible to be able to have seniors live with them, and to take care of their basic needs until they need nursing care. That's facilitated by this agency that would place older adults with you in your home if you do meet the criteria for care.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And just a little side note, I do know a woman that's doing this family adult care, and it actually came up because she knew a couple older adults that needed care. So it kind of went the reverse way. She knew them and then went to get her foster care license. So, this is just something to be mindful of.
Yes, yes. And we move into the next phase, or the next option for senior housing, which is assisted living. And assisted living is usually regulated. This is licensed by the state, and there are certain rules that they have for assisted living. And within that assisted living umbrella of housing for seniors are two different kinds. We have the small 6-bed homes, rooms. They can take residents, 6 residents. These are called board and care, what we normally call board and care, but residential care facilities for the elderly. That's the umbrella term that we use in California. And community care licensing is one that it looks over or regulates the housing for assisted living, then you have the larger ones, and these could be the larger buildings.
Yeah, yeah. And so, why would you move into a assisted living facility? And, that would really have to do with maybe having some needs that you might need to have a little assistance with. And these would be the facilities that would help you with your ADLs, your bathing, dressing, grooming, eating, transferring, and medication. And it'd be important to make sure that someone is overseeing these type of things for you. The larger ones are, very nice. I mean, they actually have, lots of amenities and things going on. The most important thing is that you still have your own unit. Some of them you'll have your apartment, and as you need these ADLs, or as you need some services. I recall being in one, and there was a guy there about 55, and I think he worked at Applebee's or something like that, and just had some moderate mental health issues, maybe like you said, depression or something. Some things are hard to know, but this brother worked every single day and came back and forth, but he was able to come to a congregate meal and, feel safe in his unit, and someone was kind of keeping up for him. But if he needed to have some help, that's what assisted living facilities are for. So really think that that's a nice, viable option as you need that.
Yes, and I think with assisted living, a lot of it is still being paid for out of pocket. That's usually something that you have to pay for. As an option, it's not cheaper. It's not cheap. These places can range from anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 because they do have a memory care unit or a locked unit that they have on site that individuals, older adults, can go to and live in these communities either as couples where the staff would provide all the help that they need, either with bathing, dressing, transferring, and even bringing them down to congregate meal areas and even to activities. There are structured events and activities and calendars that people pay attention to, for ice cream socials, and for hot dogs or luau day or 4th of July. All these big events, they come now into the community, to these assisted living places, or even to the small board and care places, to be able to allow these seniors to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Another place is the residential care suites. And, as Anna said, things are different, all over the world. And these care suites are a little bit more spacious. They're equipped with, a bedroom, a living room, a kitchenette, and a bath. So when you think about just the whole gamut of what can be built and what can people have, it's out there. I mean, that's kind of where we are in the 20th century. And these again are real nice, plush, high-end care suites for older adults. I've seen them on occasion where they needed to have bigger space because it's the husband and wife, it's a couple. So I'm glad that there's all of these options, because there's one out there for everyone. It can happen.
Yes, and then we touch on the last, option out there, which is the Continuum Care Retirement Communities, where all 3 different levels of care are offered. And it's a buy-in for people that are able to afford these communities. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of money to live in a community like this. We are still trying to figure out how Medicaid or Medicare can pay for some of this. And, for all of these housing options, there is some Medicaid dollars put towards either the assisted part or to the memory part, but not a lot is offered to seniors that are looking for help in these areas or in these communities. And what do we do with the state of housing for seniors, and how do we provide for them? Not everyone will afford to live in these communities. Another option out there for seniors are the retirement communities, community care, continuum retirement communities for seniors, CCRCs.
Yes.
They have all three levels offered to seniors, including independent living, assisted living with staff on hand to help, and something called skilled nursing. There is a skilled nursing unit or building that or floor that these CCRCs will have. And it's a buy-in. And unfortunately, you have to have quite a bit of money to live in this community because you are going to live there for the rest of your life. And you aren't going to move, you move seamlessly between assisted living, independent, and even nursing care. Sometimes we go in and out needing nursing, skilled nursing rehab. They have nurses and therapists there to assist you.
Yes, yes. And, I think that, as you said, you have to have, plenty of money to be able to reside in one of those communities, but you have to plan ahead and knowing that that is an option there for you. As seniors are aging and needing to go in and out of rehab or what have you. I mean, this is a real nice facility to move from, your own independent living into the rehab, skilled nursing, or whatever it is that you need, and then go back to your unit. So I like the idea of the whole continuum of living there. Very nice.
And this we close with a question on what does it look like for the majority of us that may not be able to afford these senior living communities. What do we do with legislation around us to have either the city or the state or Medicare or Medicaid pick up some of the tabs for senior housing for people that may not have the resources? Not everyone can afford to live in these beautiful communities that are popping up everywhere. What can we have in place? And it comes to mind, there is another option for dementia village. A lot of the units now are either locked or in a separate building, a separate floor, where dementia clients or older adults with dementia are usually on site in a sort of locked area, relegated to that space where their meals are taken there, their, bathing, dressing, everything is done by the staff without having to leave that building, just maybe a sort of small garden enclosure where they can go out to and then come back, but they're always in that area. What if there was a freestyle standing dementia village where you could just walk anywhere, bike anywhere, and participate in anything that you always love to do, whether you needed a meal at a restaurant, some restaurant style, eating on site, being with other people without having to be locked in a place.
Yeah, that's wonderful. As a matter of fact, there are some things out in the legislature now about more aging friendly communities, whole communities. And so that is something that we can, really rally to have, because we know as the years go on here, there are going to be more seniors than there are going to be younger folks. And so this is the investment, and definitely the way to go is to make sure that not only seniors have housing, but have a community to live in.
Yes, and I think that comes from the World Health Organization's initiative to provide age-friendly cities. And I think that's aging in place,
Yes.
even as we have these senior housing community buildings that are popping up everywhere. They're trying to make the sidewalks a little
That's
larger,
right.
more
Yes.
lit, there's more light. There's also the crosswalks, there's also age-friendly cities. San Jose, where I live, is a age-friendly city. And
Yes.
they are building sidewalks where the timer on that crosswalk is just a little longer than your average crosswalk where you have to go scooting across, and they're wider, the ADAs, we have the sidewalks and also the on-ramp, off-ramp, off the sidewalks. That's huge. And providing amenities to seniors that they would love to live in the communities.
Absolutely. And just one last plug for families. I mean, especially in the BIPOC community, people are comfortable and familiar with having their grandmother, their mother, father, their older adults live right there with them. And so, to some degree, we might want to get back to that, because if you keep living, you're going to age. And so we need to be a little bit more accountable and responsible for our loved ones as they age. So I did like the idea of the tiny home, something real close to you, if it's not realistic that they can have a home, or if the area isn't big enough, your house. But yeah, that's the way I grew up. So older adults live right with us. We were all a family.
Yes, and and we're seeing this a little bit more. There's ethnic communities across the nation, even here in the San Francisco Bay Area. There's
Yeah.
pockets for Russians, the Chinese. There's buildings that they would gravitate towards, and the Unlock program here is a PACE program. That's an all-inclusive, healthcare model that caters to the Asians within a building with all the medical and social services available to them.
Sure, sure. Yes, yes. So, okay, housing options.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to having you join us in our next segment. But please reach out to Dorothea or I for any questions you may have around senior housing or anything that you have want to learn about. Send us an email. Click on the link below and send us an email for Positivity with Anna and cultural sensitive, issues with Dorothea.
Wonderful. Thank you.